Yeah, so what I see from game number 1 and game number 2 is sort of the mentality of game number 2 is how it works, right? And game number 1 was a move in that direction, but perhaps stretching it too far in both sides, burning it from each end of the wick. Too tanky in the jungle, not enough damage in the mid lane. Find that happy medium in game number 2. For game number 3, who knows what's in store? Picks and bans coming your way. And with Obey Alliance winning that game, Rival will opt for the first pick. And really what I want to see here, Taco, is that meet in the middle for Obey. I want to see them go, all right, you know, the pure tank Geb jungle with a Neath didn't work. I'm not saying I want to see a second Geb jungle, but I do want to see that creativity, because think about where it comes from. They're like, all right, CaptainTwig likes to play these utility setup characters. Can we go all the way to Geb? Maybe you can, but not also trying a new thing in the middle lane. I like to try one new thing at a time, not 2, 3, 4, 5. Obey, let's see which direction they move in. Rival bans out Power, Thoth, and Artemis. Obey bans out, well, the Wlfy mid. It's got to happen every time. They're a second ban, though. Very curious.
Oh, Athena, actually. I was expecting it to be Guan, only because of the fact that in the first game they actually chose to ban the Guan, and then in the second match, because Rival weren't first pick, they went for the Guan. But Rival really want that Giannis for Wlfy. Can't blame him, because Wlfy had a phenomenal game 1 on this pick, and it's a pretty scary thing to see, because there's so many different directions that Rival can still choose to take their composition.
Exactly.
That's one of the big things about Giannis, is that if you're trying to first pick him, he's a relatively safe god, a lot of mobility, and it's going to be beneficial towards not just the engagement aspect, but also the disengaging.
And Obey put you in Obey put Rival, rather. No, are you playing for Rival? Obey put Rival in a spot where pick the Guan or the Giannis, all right? Frankly, I think Rival picked correctly. The Giannis gives you so many different options. Guan kind of locks you down into a playstyle. Guan and Cerberus for Obey, so 2 frontliners. Before we go any further, Serket and Rom for Rival, are we seeing a Guan jungle here?
I think that Guan jungle could be perfectly acceptable.
Is it Captain DJ Parnicus?
Possibly so, but then again, I think that I would have to take the bet Twig probably did it before Pern.
That is...
Maybe not in competitive, but definitely he did it.
I will absolutely give you that. I hope Obey gives Neath to Ataraxia. He looked decent on the Neath. Better than Prime, in my opinion.
I think I would have to agree with that, too. And it's not because Prime, believe me, neither of us think that you can't play Hunters by any... there's no chance.
Prime is going to beat 99% of Smite fans with the Neath. Are the 99% of Smite fans in the Pro League is a different story.
Yeah, that's where things start to get a little bit questionable. But even still, I think that I could be a fan of Prime on the Neath pick if there is some compensation towards that mid lane or magical damage.
And I always talk about playing to your team's strengths. And yes, if Prime goes Neath, then Twig or Xaliea go more damage. But the strength of Obey is when Prime plays the power. Give him the Zeus. We'll see what happens. 2 wonderful ladies banned out by Obey. No Amaterasu, no Bellona. Leaving Discordia for the player in the middle lane. Zeus banned out of note. So is Mercury. So Obey go for the Discordia. Rival are going to pick Nike, which I actually really, really like, because Neath does poorly when driven into an attack speed build, which is the Chinsai build. And that's really what punishes the big health pool characters.
The thing about Rival's comp, though, now that they've rounded it off with the Ares, is they don't have any other choice but to fight. They have to go all in every single time they engage. And if they're not successful with their execution, it's going to be lights out here. And
perfect pick.
It won't be the Guan Yu in the jungle role. Instead, we're going to get a little bit of that Humbat's CaptainTwig specialty. And
perfect
I love this. It's heavy utility. It plays perfectly into a lot of the CC chains that Obey already had going for them. And if I had to hand it to a team, I'd just like Obey's draft a little bit more here because of how much more setup they have.
Well, I was going to ask you what you just said, but you just said a lot. So, but when you brought up, Rival, they have to fight all the time, and they have to do it. They have to go all in. Hunbats is one of the best characters at punishing the all in, right? They banned the Zeus, which is another character that's going to punish the all in. But when you pile drive on everybody, and then he drops the keg, and everybody walks away, I mean, well, Hunbats. Could it be the answer is the question. Rival looking for that late game dominance. Rival definitely going to stretch this one out for a long time. Obey, on the other hand, some mid-game prowess, but the Guan Yu can certainly stretch those team fights out. Game 3, I'm looking at Obey, frankly. How you feeling?
I have to feel the same way here, and I think it all does come down to that Humbats pick. It was such a perfectly timed pick, and I'm not sure if that was the intention all along or if they just decided for a last-minute swap once they saw the Ares, but that's just part of the fun with like competitive.
Yep. Wonderful, wonderful selection. We love it here up at the desk. Hindu, Aggro, do you guys like the Party Monkey?
Well, the Party Monkey's okay, but I'm a little bit worried about the Giannis Kurt composition that Rival have here. It's very strong.
It's good. And also, Humbats is good, but into the Ares is a risky pickup. I mean, he does rely a lot on his mobility, doesn't have a CC immune ultimate. That's a character that Kalas probably sees and goes, ooh, I kind of want Ares here because of that. They pick Ares first, and Obey still goes to that Humbats. It is going to be risky.
Very, very interesting game then between Obey and Rival. You guys at home get to vote on who you think will win this one. So far, it's 1-1, and, you know, Obey are really up there now. They're starting to fight back into the top 4.
It's awesome, isn't it? It's so this is the way that we expected Europe to be going into Season 5, and we got the top 3 teams. Obey lagged behind a little bit, but they're certainly starting to get there, man. They are really starting to look solid.
Well, let's find out what they do in this game with the composition they've got here. They are up against a Nike, which we've not seen too much of recently. Deathwalker is going to be piloting that in the solo lane.
And this is one of those gods that is really undervalued, man. I'll tell you what. Her passive is just nuts. It is just so darn good. You're also, picking into a matchup where your Rend isn't going to get interrupted, so you've got an opportunity to clear the wave very, very easily. Your slow is going to be really solid. Still at that Sentinel of Zeus, not receiving that change quite yet. Still need to use Plan of Action or to boost it to 40%, but this is just a solid god that I don't think we see enough of.
Yeah, players playing on the patch that wasn't just released today for you all at home watching, tuning in. Obviously, the patch will hit these guys next week for the Pro League. We make sure the pro players get the same week as everybody else and what their opposition will be. So, let's find out how these guys do. Wlfy up against PrettyPriMe in the mid lane once again. I like the Discordia pick to deal with Circuit. I do think he's going to struggle against both Circuit and Ares, however. Her limit is... Her mobility is a little bit limited. She's got a great escape, Aggro, but once that's down, you're susceptible.
You are, but at the same time, the Golden Apple is a long channel. It takes a long time to throw it, gives you plenty of time to time it, to give yourself CC immunity, and still punish Ares for using his ultimate in front of you. I really like picking Discordia into Ares. I think it feels pretty good.
It's good against, I think it's good against one, but I don't think against both. When you have to deal with both, you dash once, then you're like, okay, I've got to use my apple now. Hopefully it survives. We'll see how that works out though. Chains in the dual lane from Kalas do connect on iRaffer. Not a surprise to see the chains connect because it's Kalas playing the Ares. It's been his bread and butter ever since he entered the Pro League.
He's played a lot of this god, not only in the Pro League, but just in general. The dude's an Ares main, so you're right, that's not a surprise.
Oh, sprint forced onto Deathwalker there. Good use of the sprint, though, mind, to recognize that Xaliea would have that Talon Assault back available. Could have spelt certain demise with that full minion wave being there, too. So early pressure for the Guan Yu, an important factor for a Guan Yu to get himself going. So he's not as susceptible to the ganks that are going to be coming from iceicebaby.
No, and I mentioned that Rend won't be interrupted, but neither will Talon Assault. Both of those abilities awfully good at helping clear the wave early on. Could be a bit of a trouble.
Blink beads used by Ataraxia and a backflip, but iRaffer doesn't have the same opportunity to beads away. Nice little blinking from Kalas there to set up those chains.
Blink from Ice as well. Set it up beautifully. Just good synergy between the two. No surprise to see that. Ares working well for Kalas. Circuit working well for iceicebaby. Just wonder if you're going to leave Xaliea on an island for so long. As good of a late-game team fighter as Nike is, she doesn't bring any sustain. You're really relying on that passive, and that'll help everywhere, and that's very true, but you don't get an opportunity to stay healthy like Guan Yu will provide to Obey Alliance.
I see the Book of Thoth rush out from PrettyPriMe too. He's been forgoing quite a lot of the starter items.
Yeah, everyone's just hating on Maiden's Blessing these days, man. It's
not
good.
Wlfy, not Wlfy. I mean, he is playing Giannis after all, who wants that amount of mana to always be regen that you get from the Blessing, just because you can get an extra portal out to save your life.
It'll likely be an extra, an early Soul Reaver, I should say, anyway. It's not a lot of mid laners going for Book of Thoth right now. I feel like that early power spike of Soul Reaver being at 130 power right away instead of Book of Thoth, where you start at 100 power, then work your way up to it, is worth the extra gold.
Tier 2 boots online already for Wlfy. We've seen a lot more of the mages back at level 4 these days, even pre-level 5, to make sure they've got that little bit of extra mobility online for when they do hit 5. It's an extra bit of power if you've got the tier 2 boots.
Yep.
Tricky to try and get the tier 3 all in one go, though, but we have seen it happen.
Greedy. It's a little bit greedy for sure to stick around for a full 1550 or 1600 gold. I think it's the right idea to back early and get that tier 2. It just makes your fight around objectives like buff camps so much better in the early game. You're so much less susceptible to getting jumped on and obliterated by assassins who have speed buff.
Now look at the supports as well. The fact that Callus managed to get that first blood allowed him to get his full boots online. Went for the shoes and the Magi for the extra penetration here on the Ares too. Starter Binding could be pretty useful on him too, I guess. Like chains as well. It's going to cause a lot of problems.
Yeah, really could. A little surprised that we don't see him go for the Shoes of Focus though, because Shoes of Focus is so good right now. It got that extra power buff. Could use it for the CDR, but I suppose Ares cooldowns aren't really that relevant to him. He wants to just get as much damage off of his initial cooldowns as he can. So Pen Boots will help him out in that regard.
Love what we saw out of Rival there for a moment or two. They just thinned the herd on the minions for a second, but they made sure that Obey lost a couple of minions in that wave. Now Vote is level 5 to Ataraxia is level 4. And in goes Callus with the blink and his ultimate. He's going to bring Rapper in, who's still only level 4, but he's got sprints up and will just run back to safety. They didn't find the damage they were looking for there, Rival.
Nope, not quite, because Vote hasn't backed yet. If Vote had his Devourer's Gauntlets, not even stacked, just finished, I think that's a kill for Rival.
Deathwalker under pressure at his own blue buff. It's opened the window for Xaliea to look to steal it away, but ult traded out for ult as the ult was used earlier by Deathwalker in lane. With iceicebaby rotating over, that's the end of it. So he got a sprint for his ult. It's not a bad situation.
Not a bad trade, and no surprise to me that Xaliea is nice and comfy on this Guan Yu. I mean, this is the type of god that Xaliea loves to play. A little bit less, in your face, beat him up, a little bit more crafty. If Xaliea were a Mario Tennis character, he'd be Technique. You know what I mean?
Don't play Mario Tennis.
That's, first of all, a huge mistake.
I just didn't expect it to be that good. Most tennis games aren't. Ever since, God, I can't remember the name of the tennis game that was good.
There was like Pro Tour Tennis.
It was the Sega ones.
Yeah, the Sega ones.
The old Sega ones.
What were those called? I forget. Those were good, though. Tennis games are really fun. Like, actually more fun than real tennis, for sure.
Do you reckon Nintendo will put Freya in the game with that tennis skin?
Yo, that'd be OP.
That'd be good, right? See? Look at the crossovers.
Great idea.
Start tweeting at Nintendo, guys. We want Freya. See if they understand it. CaptainTwig will get the left-hand half. He's at level 6. Has to get away from Ice. Nicely done to leap away before the collapse came through from Wlfy and both Callus on the rotation too. This first blood for Rival, though, is all the things separating these two teams at the moment.
Ice didn't go for beads at level 1. He went for Blink alongside Kalas. So if I'm CaptainTwig, I'm just looking for my opportunity to drop Fear No Evil right on top of that Circuit as soon as possible.
Do you want Prime to maybe bait himself a little bit here to allow Twig to get the setup? Because, I mean, Ares and Ice both going in with, against a Fear No Evil. It could be a couple of free kills.
No, I think that Kalas would likely get his ultimate off. That's what he's going to lead with in that opportunity. So Prime is going to be in a little bit of danger in that spot. Plus, Fear No Evil is really, really good at punishing individuals, and in late game team fights, it's really solid because you can punish grouped up people.
Sure.
But in the early game, like 2v2s, if you're trying to kill 2 people who don't have beads, it's really hard to get Fear No Evil to push them in the same direction and group them up. A lot of times it'll split them up, and you have to choose on the same target. And if your communication isn't there, let's say Prime hits Kalas, whereas Twig hits iceicebaby, decent chance they both survive.
The good news is, though, Obey do have Raffer, the master baiter that we've ever had from the support role. It can cause so many problems. Fear No Evil on iceicebaby, and that's exactly what you were calling for. No beads on the circuit.
Worked out nicely for them there, as will your Hindu armor for you. 1 kill for Obey Alliance now as they even it up with Team Rival. And that's perfect timing because it isn't just a kill that doesn't really net Obey Alliance anything. That's a kill that nets Xaliea a kill and the blue buff to keep his lead over Deathwalker right now. And that's even better than just even getting PrettyPriMe ahead in mid. I want my Guan Yu to be as comfortable as possible in lane. If he can get a lead, not that he doesn't just become this, heal bot that's just going to be spamming heal all over the place. He can become a real nightmare for someone like a Giannis or a Ram to deal with. That prot shred becomes insane.
Definitely cause some issues as well if the sustain does become a factor as this game goes on too. Because trying to find some anti-heal for these builds, kind of awkward, I would say. Vote forced to beads as the spit from Raffer connected for the stun. And Ataraxia was there with the follow-up if required.
Really nicely aimed stun there by Raffer. Those quick little Cerberus stuns, not always easy to land, but with how much iRaffer plays gods like Fafnir, with those harder to hit skill shots in the support role, doesn't surprise me that he's accurate with that one.
Slow start to this game. Both teams in the previous two, in fairness, have got off to a great start that's kind of catapulted them into a position to the mid-game, but this one's a little bit more even at this point in game. Game 1 was all rival. Game 2 will obey. This one, still on the edge of either or.
It could be really going either way very, very quickly as well. I love what Deathwalker is doing in that soul lane. Looks like he's just went into Steel Mail and could just be waiting it out for a Mystical Mail. And I like that a lot because that soul lane, man, there's not a lot of kill potential either way. Both these warriors are really, really safe overall. And why not just wait for the late game team fight and try and utilize your passive to help your team right now, and then use Mystical Mail to help them and boost up your damage in the mid game once you start to rotate. I think that makes a lot of sense for the Nike player. On the same time, I don't want to see Xaliea go for Mystical Mail because he just needs as much CDR as possible to be spamming Conviction just consistently.
And he's already been going that as well. He's going to look for the blue buff with the support of CaptainTwig on this right-hand side. Look like Obey wanted to do the same thing they did for their first kill of the game, which was find them grouped up in the blue, get the Fear No Evil off against no beads on the circuit, and find the kill. But iceicebaby's trapping Ataraxia. He backflipped and was surrounded by blinks immediately.
And through space and time came through.
Ow.
He literally got double blinked on him, perfect unison. I only heard one blink sound because that went off
too, yeah.
so perfectly there between Kalas and iceicebaby.
Wlfy not had a chance to get player damage yet. It's only 10 minutes in, though. Don't worry. Giannis will definitely climb the rankings.
10 minutes is a lot to have not hit an auto attack yet.
He's farming. That's all he's going to do.
No, I know. I respect it.
Deathwalker may need to go and get some farm elsewhere because Obey are grouping for a Gold Fury by the looks of it. Even Xalia's rotated here.
But by what point did everyone start memeing weekend for 667? Like, how deep into that
was
game
20
was
minutes.
It? 20 minutes is a long time.
That 20 minutes on an Odin, which is an early game god. I wouldn't class Giannis as a very early game god.
No.
20 minutes on an Odin, you can get me for 667. It's okay.
All right. Just
if this goes to, say, 15 minutes, right, and he's still not got any player damage, then we can talk.
All right.
I mean, to be fair, Vote's only got a K. So no one's really done damage this game, so I don't know why we're talking about that.
Okay, but 0 is like a crazy number.
Is it?
Yeah, 1 auto attack.
He's a Dignitas mid laner.
No, he's a rival mid laner with 0 damage.
Uh-huh.
Zeros likes to farm like he won't get any player damage for the first early game. This is how Zeros would prefer to play it. 0 early damage in the mid game, and then just start crushing everyone in the late.
Listen, he's going to do one space and time and go from bottom of the charts to top in a moment's notice. I can see it happening now. He did it in game 1.
He did.
You can't give Wlfy Giannis. I think it's so much of a big issue to give him that god. It gives rivals so much more extra oomph, I feel. Just as a team, when they've got this Giannis, they use it so well.
Would you rather Wlfy have Ra?
I prefer Giannis, I think.
I think Wlfy is the best Ra on the planet right now, and I think that I'd rather give him Giannis over Ra.
That's a fair call. I do think he's probably the best Ra on the planet, but I still think Giannis brings so much more.
Yeah, that's fair.
Xaliea looking to invade the blue buff one more time, and Deathwalker can't really stop that yet again, so another blue buff, a bit more of an extension of the lead for Xaliea as he now hits 2 levels above Deathwalker on this right-hand side.
And this feels like Deathwalker hasn't been able to contribute yet, and truthfully, he hasn't. But his passive has. Just that extra bit of movement speed and power for everyone at any given time is going to be helpful, at least to some degree. It looks like Neathalt was used on iceicebaby there, but no follow-up from CaptainTwig's Fear No Evil. Wonder why.
Chains from Kalas onto iRaffer as they trade out a bit of damage between the two. iRaffer getting the worst end, but the Fear No Evil splits Kalas off from his teammates. The apple comes out, and Kalas is going to get evaporated there space and time a little bit too late to the party, but Iceice isn't.
Iceice is going to throw that ultimate onto iRaffer, but Twig, was that a big crit there on iceicebaby?
I believe so.
That's, sometimes you just need to roll well on the Hun Bats, and Twig does just that right there. Another kill for Obey, evens it up at 3-3, but that one was a 2-for-1 in their favor.
4-3-2 for Wlfy right now. He's missed the space and time, but didn't get involved in the engagement. Xalia's still trying to go aggressive on this right-hand side, and I love it. Keep Deathwalker pinned back in his own jungle. And now with that Mystical Mail online for Deathwalker, Xalia's going to stay completely stacked in his passive the entire duration of the game.
That is a good point. It does stack up that Guan Yu passive very, very quickly. Well, Ataraxia's level 10? What happened? Vote's level 13. He's been able to, I mean, he just got a kill and an assist, so that'll help him out overall. I mean, he got the early kill and then the assist right there in the mid lane fight but it's been constant purple buff invades, it feels like,
Yeah.
from Team Rival. Otherwise, I don't know where this lead would come from.
Think about the pressure we see in iceicebaby on the left-hand side. Every time you look at the map, he's always seems to be on the left. Ever since the Fear No Evil at the start of the game from Obey and the blue buff of Deathwalkers, Ice has just started paying more attention to this left-hand side. Ataraxia as well, if you remember, did get caught in the jungle with that backflip earlier on, and that caused some more problems. Speeds are available.
Come on. Come on. Come on. What is that? Ataraxia's out there, dude. Ice didn't have his ultimate for a little bit.
On the money. That's all we can say about that. He just jumped from 400 play damage to 1,000, by the way.
Come on.
Pyromancer, though, was started up by Obey because of the pressure to the left-hand side. I love this call. It's only Deathwalker here. CaptainTwig, though, looking for a kill on Wlfy. Has to Aegis. The overhead slam will be avoided thanks to that Aegis, but Deathwalker is still trying to cause problems at the Pyro.
Oh, and he will do just that. Pyro goes down in favor of Obey, and now Deathwalker's crippled out, but that shield makes him not worry about that ultimate from PrettyPriMe whatsoever.
Ooh.
And Rival get an easy gold Fury in response. Twig's ultimate there in the mid lane just really, really deep. Don't think he expected Wlfy to actually step up towards him in that spot, so didn't get the full duration of that Fear No Evil. Wlfy was pushed out of it pretty early, opened the door for him to use that Aegis, and then his DPS on that Gold Fury ended up being critical.
iceicebaby going a little bit deep for this red buff here on the left-hand side, but won't escape the danger. Pressure is there for Rival in the dual lane now, and Ataraxia is pinned away from the tower. Right-hand side, tier 1 will fall as Twig heads back towards the jungle, but Nate's in trouble again.
And again,
he got hit again by Space and Time. Are you serious?
Ice had ultimate that time, and Ataraxia was certainly dead to rights, but someone removed the tracking device that
They are
Wlfy
locking on, yeah.
put onto Ataraxia.
Wlfy's like, hey, you Neef and you got World Weavers? Hey, hold my beer. I got Space and Time.
Right, I've got something for you. Check this one out. No, it's been impressive from Wlfy now.
Imagine if it's stunned. I'm joking. Don't even give the designers that idea.
What do you mean?
Imagine Giannis felt stunned if it hit.
It doesn't need to do that.
Imagine if it did, though. Well, that's the same way Zeus needed a stun.
Okay, but he does.
No, he doesn't. He's got played and won a game.
Yeah, he's sick.
Be quiet. 5-3, though.
You
1,500
brought it up. I did.
gold lead for Rival at the moment, due to the Gold Fury more than anything else. And a little bit better farming on the left-hand side of the map. Ataraxia is a bit further behind than that of Deathwalker. If we take a look at the the difference in those lanes and how things have been going, he's only a little bit further behind Deathwalker than Xaliea, whereas Ataraxia is currently 3 levels down. He's had a lot of focus put into him this game.
Yeah, and Neath has been like on the up and up, right?
Yeah.
Cyclone's been playing her a lot. Everyone's starting to be like, "Oh, Neath's really good," and then you kind of it succeeds because teams aren't punishing it properly, and then a team like Rival shows you why Neath hasn't been played a lot as of late. Really, really easy to punish.
It's the telegraph
in lane.
backflip, isn't it? It always will be. The one thing Neath does do, though, is she's kind of the anti... In a weird way, she's kind of an anti-hunter. She uses the Unravel for the attack speed slow. She's very good at rooting people in place and has a global to influence with a stun. All things that, an anti-hunter would like. She's more of a... I feel like she's got a better mid-game than a lot of, like, the ulls and things, just because the control she brings.
I think Neath is a better mid laner than she is a hunter because
I can see that.
you are so exposed in the dual lane. If someone comes over there, you probably won't be getting help particularly.
Fear No Evil in the mid
quickly.
lane, used there by CaptainTwig, zoning away Wlfy and Vote, but the tier 1 tower still goes down. And those chains did hit twice, allowing Ice to go in. Space and Time this time, Ataraxia wasn't there, so it wasn't going to connect.
No.
And Twig will get away from the snipes from Vote.
Kalas gives us the power fist there, just didn't find anyone with that no escape. Xaliea comes, and this is the first time that Obey has their solo join the fray, and he's got to make an impact.
iceicebaby still lurking around the corner, is now Ataraxia rotating from the left-hand side to try and support, but he will stop for that red buff. Rival went aggressive there in the mid lane. They were really after the tier 1, which already fell. Didn't find a kill, however, but they're grouping around the right-hand side.
Could be looking for this tier 1. It's already pretty weak in the solo lane, but Xaliea still has his ultimate, so does iRaffer. There's not a lot of ultimates up for Team Rival. You're really only looking at Ice and Deathwalker now. Same number of ults. So.
Look at Ataraxia's build here. He's realized that he's been the focal point from Rival. 3rd item, Magi's Cloak. It hurts when you have to do that as a support, as a hunter, but at the same time, if you die, you don't do any damage.
No, you don't. And also, Ataraxia's job at this point in the game now that he's been pushed this far out of the farm is just to use World Weaver as a global stun for his team. And Magi's Cloak doesn't prevent that from happening. So it's not too bad for him. It also won't prevent anything about Wlfy through space and time, flattening him like a pancake. So maybe not the best item. Could have gone for a Bulwark of Hope.
If he hits a 3rd one in a row, I'm done. That's the best thing I'm going to say. If he hits Ataraxia with another one from downtown, like, I feel bad for the Welsh Wizard in that duo lane for now. We'll find out how he does as this one continues, because at the moment Rival have started grouping a little bit more so than that of Obey. Obey've kind of tried to stick to the farming mentality a little bit more, still pushing out the waves, and I understand why Ataraxia being behind that of Vote, but not by much now, as Vote does hit level 17. Ataraxia just hit 15, still 2 levels, but it's a lot closer than it once was.
I'm sorry, all I can think about since you said Welsh Wizard was Ataraxia, like in the Harry Potter universe.
Yeah, okay, I can see that.
He would absolutely be a Gryffindor, like no doubt. He would be like one of the top Gryffindors for sure.
He's secretly Slytherin. That's
no,
he is. He's
Come
secretly Slytherin.
Slytherin and Gryffindor are close. They're very closely related, but there's no way Ataraxia is in Gryffindor. It just won't happen.
Bet you he tells you afterwards he is.
All right, fair enough.
Wlfy's Gryffindor.
No, Wlfy is much more Slytherin.
No, you get it backwards.
No, Wlfy is like, I'm the best, and I'm going to prove it all the time. He's always loud about it, and that's good, and I love that about him. Slytherin's a powerful house, man. I'm not here to hate on Slytherin.
Enough about Harry Potter. It's on with the Gold Fury, and it's about to go down for Rival. Oh, Bay, we're very late to that one there. But when you look at the ultimates they've got for Secure, it's kind of lackluster in the grand scheme of things. I mean, outside of Fear No Evil, it will get some beads, but at the end of the day, Wlfy's going to have a little bit better time of clearing that one up. Question in the mid lane, though, as Obey did push out that wave, and the attention could turn towards his Pyromancer.
And I like Obey deciding to group up now, because even though they're behind, they have the Guan Yu. He's going to make up for a lot of that lost gold that they have in comparison to Rival. And Obey has been teamfighting really well so far today. Go for your strengths.
Rival already chipping away at this Pyromancer very quickly. Xalia's the closest to it, uses the cavalry charge. Wlfy use and Aegis and beads on Vote is down. Xaliea, though, is getting pulled back in, and that could cause problems.
No, he's okay for the moment. Through space and time, doesn't he really do too much of anything for Rival. This is where that Guan Yu sustain is going to be a problem. Rival can't let up the gas.
But those poles being put to good use to allow Rival to flank around the right-hand side. iceicebaby with the Magi's Cloak was looking for an option. Won't be able to find it here. Obey group nicely, sustained back up a little bit with Xaliea, but Wlfy's there on the front side with Deathwalker.
Deathwalker finds 2 with that knockup, hits everybody with the Sentinel of Zeus,
Ice
and right in with him. Good snipes coming out from Vote. Wlfy's there to assist as well as Prime falls.
Oh, Ice didn't get a kill on Twig or Wrath. They will both survive. Ataraxia versus Wlfy in the jungle. He doesn't need space and time at this moment, but Ataraxia's going to keep juking. Icebaby's on the way too, but an unstable vortex to the mush will bring down Ataraxia.
And Portal and the Pyromancer went down easily to Vote, who's hitting these objectives very hard with that Ichabod. Fire Giant is going to be next. And I love that Rival doesn't just allow Obey to reset. They understand that would be a big issue, but Xalia's here.
The horse is back, but he was looking for Vote. Couldn't find it. Twig's back in the fray too. Fire Giant's very low. Wlfy's getting even lower. Vote is going to die first of all to Twig. Twig gets a double, looking for a triple towards Deathwalker, but he may have to run away.
Through space and time, just juked out, but it still gets the kill for Deathwalker. Rival very low, and no way they can go back to this Fire Giant now. iRaffer is going to try and continue this chase, and he might find DW.
Deathwalker's in a lot of trouble here as well. Mystical Whale ticking away, so he's going to do some damage to Raffer. As soon as that leaps up, the portal will get him out, but now Wlfy doesn't have a portal to escape Xaliea.
Man.
The chase is on.
World Weaver's coming. Deathwalker's trying to create as much distance as he can. Raffer
he got it.
just missed on the stun. And Deathwalker's out of there, just like we all knew he would be.
Main thing is Obey stole the speed buff. That's what it's all about, really.
Free.
That will upset them there. Callus runs back from base, but won't be able to get the aggression out of Raffer there. Xalia's also going to get out too. Messy fight. Messy fight.
Very. But Obey's reset there, Xalia's teleport back in was absolutely huge. I love the call from Rival. I've got no problem with that going towards Fire Giant. That's where having absolute ward vision is so critical, and it's so hard to do that against a good team like Obey. They'll find a spot to sneak a ward behind you somewhere, and Xaliea is able to teleport to it, make a big difference. Also, Twig actually ends up doing a lot of work in the midst of that team fight.
Talk about Twig a bit more. He just finished off a Transcendence too, so going to have a bit more cooldown reduction and an extra bit of swinging damage too. That's why you go for the Transcendence. Xalia's in a bit of trouble here as Twig has to leap away from iceicebaby, but Xaliea going to turn it back around on Callus. Fire Giant started up again by Rival. It's already down to about 70% health, but it has been unleashed.
Ataraxia, not here quite yet, but he's on the way. Doesn't have his ultimate available still. No relics for him either. He doesn't want to be anywhere near the beginning of this fight.
That
Look at
chain
him.
hit
Oh, but
from
Iceice found him.
Callus. 2 chains in a row. Third one on iRaffer too, but no further follow-up. Iceice on the left, though. Space and time fired. Ataraxia did not get hit by that, but kept my best to find the kill. Fino Evil, meanwhile, went off in the team fight.
And Kalas didn't find anyone with that ultimate. Vote does snipe out Ataraxia on the right. Twig has to use the beads in mid, and it won't save his life there. 2 for 0 for Rival.
And now Deathwalker just keeping iRaffer and Xaliea busy. The rest of the team focusing on the tier 2 tower in the mid lane. Deathwalker's just healthy enough to stand there forever. No ultimate required this time. 10-5. Rival win a big fight by splitting up Obey.
Man, everyone, when talking about Nike, just says she doesn't do anything. Like, what does she do? She doesn't let you do anything. I mean, she is nearly impossible to kill. Sentinel of Zeus is just a preposterously good ultimate. And Deathwalker escapes that fight looking like he barely took any damage whatsoever. Solo laners don't need to do a whole lot. They just have to be able to stand there and take it, and Nike does that very well.
And now because of that, Rival open themselves up a fire giant. They'll secure that and extend their gold a little bit more so. Only a couple of tier 2 towers remaining for Obey. And the worst news possible is Gold Fury is about to spawn. Can Obey sneak that real quick, do you reckon?
No, Ataraxia is a little bit too far right now, and he doesn't even have a great build at shredding those down. He doesn't have the attack speed steroid that Vote does on the ROM. And with that Magi's Blessing, or Magi's Cloak rather, he doesn't have that much damage to even provide to the objective.
I love Callus going for what looks like a Gem of Isolation too, which is something that every Guardian always wants to build, but you can never really fit it in a build. But this time, in this situation, Callus could really make good use of it.
Well, maybe he can slow the enemy down so that he can actually hit them with his ultimate. He's missed 2 this game.
Are you BMing his Ares?
His Ares is really good, and that's why I feel comfortable saying he probably shouldn't miss 2 Ares ults in 1 game.
That's sure. That's okay. I'll give it. Or maybe he's just setting up so that Wlfy can find those space and times a little bit easier. See, that's how you do it.
The true support mentality.
True support mentality. The Jeff mentality.
Yes.
Put it that way.
Yes.
Now to the left-hand side go all the members of Rival. iceicebaby hanging around the middle a little bit, just pushing in that extra wave first of all. I don't see Obey defending these tier 2s, but I do expect them, obviously, to defend the Phoenixes.
Can't give up Phoenixes, of course, but tier 2s are pretty relevant right now. I mean, the gold will certainly help out Rival. No one has finished their build outright yet, so it feels bad to gift them 3,000 gold across 2 tier 2 towers, but if you get wiped on a tier 2, you lose the game at this point, so it's better to just wait it out.
Keep an eye on Obey's build as well. iRaffer does have that Emperor's Armor, something we see now and again. He's a big proponent of this Emperor's Armor. He used it a lot last year. Buffing the towers or nerfing the towers is the thing that's going to happen with that item. So on defense, it's definitely going to help them out with these Phoenixes.
Really, really smart. And this, when you're really far behind, Emperor's Armor can be that little bit that you need to get back into a game and help yourself out on a siege defense. When you're really, really ahead, it makes it that much easier to break bases and knock down towers. When it's even and you're not going to be sieging anytime soon, that's where it doesn't really get its value. This is a good opportunity to pick it up, though. Obey certainly need a little bit of extra oomph on their side.
Very respectful engagement from Rival there, not to try and go for a Phoenix just yet. Instead, just strip the map of everything, spend that gold, get towards those 6 items, sell off those blessings, and you can see the real difference on itemization now because some of Obey members aren't even got onto their 5th item yet.
PrettyPriMe still waiting on the tier 2 of his 5th item, which will likely be an Ethereal Staff of his own.
What's the right situation for Ethereal Staff, by the way?
Ethereal Staff is like, it's just pretty solid for HP. It's not great for your DPS, so the passive certainly helps. You need a lot of pen alongside it to make the passive actually worth it, and when you have Obsidian Shard, that's definitely the time to go for it. I think when you just like, you need survivability, but you can't afford to go for a pure defense item, I think E-Staff is usually a pretty solid option.
Keeping on the 2 blinks from Rival here, it's iceicebaby and, of course, Callus. Callus will be the original beads burner if he can find that way, but Iceice at the moment, split pushing in the mid lane. Keep an eye on Xaliea too. He's the one that's going to have to tank up a lot of the storm on the front side alongside iRaffer, and then maybe look for that cavalry charge engage.
Xaliea going to shred a little bit of the protection from Deathwalker, but Sentinel of Zeus means he's awfully tanky. Big chunk there onto Raffer. Wlfy gets it started and nearly finishes it off himself.
If it was Ataraxia, it would have been a different story, but Fino, evil Fino, goodbye!
Another
Wlfy finds the unstable vortex. that just wiped the monkey off the map, and the Phoenix already down to half health.
I kid. That one
was
is not as bad for the Ares ultimate. He thought that he needed that extra bit of help, but clearly his team did not.
Callus blinks in and gets some chains off. Xaliea to the backside, looking towards Vote and gets some good damage off. Vote has to take to the sky, may look towards iRaffer, who's very low. Instead, he's putting damage onto the knee to take her out of the fight, as Wlfy will bring down the dog, but Ataraxia finds the killing response.
Left side Phoenix falls, and Ice still going to keep on going. Nice madness there. Beautiful from iceicebaby, and now it's only Xaliea left standing. Rival has a wave coming pretty soon, but Twig will be up in 15.
Yeah, Obey have only Xaliea here to defend. We're going to go for the middle Phoenix by the looks of it instead. Xaliea feels a bit confident. Minions as well on his side. Who's tanking it up is the question. It's Deathwalker, so this Phoenix should fall.
Should. Down to about half HP. Vote very low and no relics available. Xaliea very low. Had a relic. Didn't matter. Teleport doesn't help him in that spot. Mid Phoenix falls. Pretty respectful to not go for the end. I think Rival had the opportunity to do so, but Vote was just a little bit too poked. Deathwalker wasn't full health either, and he didn't have his ultimate. So Rival decides to take 2 Phoenixes and walk away.
The biggest thing I've seen between Game 1 and Game 2 is Rival's focus in Game 2 was towards PrettyPriMe the entire time. Focus him. Didn't work out. He still survived the majority of the time, and Obey turned the fights around. This game, they've gone all in on Ataraxia. Every single time he's been there, he has been the focal point to bring down.
Yep.
And that has kind of given Rival this opportunity now because they've not been able to do anything about it.
No, I mean, take a look at the player damage charts. Ataraxia all the way at the bottom, full, 1.5k below
Who's at the top?
what Vote is doing. Yeah, isn't it funny that Giannis is pretty good?
Yeah, well, I mean, 30 minutes, 10 minutes, 0. 30 minutes, top.
Doing 13, nearly 14,000 damage in just 20 minutes. That's quite a bit. That's a pretty good chunk.
Look, iceicebaby just chasing away the monkey from the right-hand side to make sure this fire giant goes uncontested for Rival. Rival will be happy with this if they can find the win here now, specifically because they did lose to Dig at the start of the year, and of course Energy, which has not put them in a good stead. 2-2. They've only found wins against Mouse and SK so far, and on Monday they've got to face off against Dignitas again.
And even those wins didn't look that convincing for Rival. So
SK took a game off them.
Right. So this is a pretty important set for them, and I think this bounce back game is exactly what the doctor ordered.
Let's find out what happens next. With minions pouring from left and middle, it's an awkward defense for Obey to make. Ataraxia sat very far back here, trying to channel the World Weaver for an opportunity if he can find it, but I know for a fact that Scorpion will rotate if required. Oh my god! That was the dream scenario! F6 now, boys, you're done. Put a fork in it. Get out. The nail in the coffin. I don't know how many other things to say. The no escape through the portal to the death of multiple members of Obey. Good night, sweet prince. It's done. Rival 2-1. What a way to end the game.
Graham, I'll pay my fine after this. That was the coolest shit I've seen in a long time. That was awesome. That was so cool.
It's always been possible to do that, but we've never had the opportunity to see it in pro level play, and that's how you end a game.
That's how the F.dot call. That's how you start a game. That's how you end the game with some style.
Set as well. 2-1 to Rival with a very good play at the end there. That's going to be on the highlight reels for sure for a couple of weeks to come. There was not a whole lot Obey could do about that.
I mean, iRaffer had his ultimate, just didn't use it there.
Well, nobody expects to be pulled for a pull.
No. He was like, I don't think they could follow up on me here. I'm good. And then you get yanked all the way through the portal with him. That was sick.
Who do you guys at home, though, think will be MVP? Or deserves MVP, I should say. Not think, because you get to vote and choose.
You do. You don't have to think about it. You can actually act on it.
Yeah. Well, potentially, unless the idiots in chat vote for someone else. Who do you think?
I think that Wlfy had a really solid game. Ice putting pressure on the duo side was really, really important. I think that Kalas probably not in the MVP discussion outside of that last play. I'm either giving it to Wlfy or Ice.
I do think as well Ataraxia will go away from this having nightmares about Giannis ultimates for the next few weeks to come.
Yes, that was a rough situation.
Rough situation indeed for them, but it's good for Rival because they find that 2-1 victory. We still got later on today as well. The most interesting thing is Mouse up against Energy. Mouse obviously had a roster change, which has come about. Jermaine no longer on the team.
Man, that's going to be weird, isn't it? Seeing someone else alongside Dardes. It'll be Spudio there. Spudio has looked very good during his time in the minor league. I'm excited to see what he can bring to the pro level.
Well, let's get over to the desk then to break down how that last game went.
Well, the last game went in one direction, and it was towards Rival. That's it. We'll see you later. No, I guess we'll go into it a little bit. That first pick, Giannis.
There's a reason behind it, and I think that we all can 100% confirm that no team wants to ever see Wlfy on Giannis ever again. I mean, at first it started off with the Raw. I'm starting to believe it's going to eventually evolve into just banning out Raw Giannis.
I mean, the thing is with the Raw, the Raw brings two different things. One, the long-range damage, and two, the healing. Giannis brings two things. One, the long-range damage, and well, he doesn't bring the healing, but he brings
Soul
all
Gem.
of his teammates through. And sure, he can buy the
Soul Gem and Pythex pieces. This is full utility
There you
Wlfy that we're theory crafting right now. Okay, you can thank us later. By the way,
yeah,
rival.
take that. Well, actually, don't take anything from us, because what you guys did right there was perfect. 20,000 gold in the lead when the Titan falls. Rival just come through and go, all right, Obey, listen, you guys look good. You guys have improved. You guys have made moves. You guys are being creative. You guys are winning games. You're not winning the third game. We'll see you later.
Here's my favorite part about all of this is that it was actually something we talked about shortly after tossing it over to the casters, and it is so much fun being able to do like the analyst portion of this, because on paper you look at Obey's composition in comparison to Rivals and you think that Obey's got this all day long, but then you see how the actual gameplay breaks down, and I think that was just such a brutal start for Raffer. It never really stopped after that. I mean, you give Kalos the first blood on the Ares. That's the ideal situation that Rival want to be in anyway, and it just continues to progress and build one little step to the next, lane to lane. And I think the worst part about it all was once you fall behind once you fall behind to an Ares composition, that just leaves so much momentum on the table there for Rival to take. The Giannis further influencing even more aggressive options for Rival, and Obey, as much as they tried to stem the bleeding, it just wasn't enough. It didn't matter if they forfeited buffs or if they forfeited farm. In the end, Rival was just going to run at them anyway, because that's what their composition was trying to do in the first place.
Right. I mean, it was a very interesting world, because I mean, I was always much more of a English social studies kid than a math and science kid. It's probably obvious, but the thing is, with math, 4 + 4 always equals 8. And when we looked at that draft, that composition wins for Obey. That's the winning composition when you look at these two drafts. But it doesn't matter, because Rival just beat the hell out of them, and that's the fun part. I mean, you just never know what's going to happen in actuality on the game field. So Rival take this one. They win this 2-1, and that's a big deal, because Rival sitting here, people have criticized their online play here. Let's zoom out real quick and talk about Rival on LAN and online. Is there a difference, and have they tackled it just yet?
I think that Rival has come a lot closer to keeping the same energy that they have at LANs and carrying that over into their online sets. Before, it was Rival wanting to focus purely on the online set, then they get to show up to LAN, realize their Lanimals, and it kind of just carries from there, and we just build off of that. I mean, Rival came from seemingly out of nowhere, the very first LAN that they ever won, and I think that that's been the more impressive part, is just seeing them slowly but surely get closer and closer to having that level of consistency that transfers not only from the online portion, but over into the IRL situations too, because a LAN environment isn't always necessarily easy to deal with. There's a lot of pressure, a lot of behind-the-scenes stress that a lot of you guys back at home don't really get to be a part of or witness, but these guys are under a lot of pressure all the time, which is why you have to have respect for their craft.
Yeah, and so that's one of the exciting things. I think you could pick out all 12 teams and sort of pick something that's been exciting to watch throughout the course of the year, even the bad ones. And watching Rival strive to be the same team that they are offline, online, has been really impressive. And I think throughout the course of the spring and the summer split, we've actually seen a lot of that. And now Rival coming here and toppling this Obey team that I think a lot of teams would have lost game number 3 here with the composition, especially after the way game number 2 went. I think almost any European team comes in here and loses that game 3 to Obey.
I want to further elaborate to like everybody who's watching why we feel that way also. It's because Obey just had a lot more crowd control that they could sync up with each other. It's a lot less forgiving in comparison to Rival's draft, who was completely unforgiving in my mind, because of the fact that like there's no reliable CC. Honestly, you've got Cirqueta and Giannis Portal, so you pray to God that those land, because otherwise it's all about Kala's chains, but those are mostly just slows. Nike mostly just a slow. You're not really able to deal that like big pack of a punch, but if you're able to connect it and execute it flawlessly, which I think that was also another statement that we made to each other.
Yeah.
On paper, Obey probably should win this, but gameplay alone, Rival, you can never count them out.
Well, there was two pieces of crowd control. One came from the jungle, and one came sort of from the mid, but I don't want to see that portal used for CC. It was all about the support for the MVP. The ultimate was big enough. I think a lot of people, when you see the lone areas, just go, well, how many people are you actually going to pull? Well, right here, it was 2. And some other times it was 3. And some other times it was 1. But most importantly, it was always just enough. The team did a good job of making sure that players were available to get hit by that Ares ultimate, and everybody fell in place, quite literally.
Feels bad, though, for Prime and iRaffer there, the only two without their beats at that moment. And it's not very often that we get to say that some players legit just got styled on, but that is a flashy way to end a set.
Coming up next, we've got Mouse taking on Energy. Mouse is the new hunter. You don't want to miss it. We'll be right back with more SPL.